City of Demons contains potentially triggering content including body horror, death, domestic abuse, forced captivity, harsh language, murder, suicide, transphobia, violence, and weapons. Please listen with discretion.
What do you think I'm at? Aren't I supposed to have any patience to reach the end of, Mother? You think I'm crazy about the warehouse? You think I'm in love with the Continental Shoemakers? You think I want to spend 55 years down there in that Celotex interior with fluorescent tubes? Look, I'd rather somebody picked up a crowbar and battered my brains out than go back mornings. But I go. For $65 a month, I give up all that I dream of doing and being ever. And you say, self's all I ever think of. Well, listen, if self is what I thought of, Mother, I'd be where he is. Gone. I'm going to the movies. I'm going to opium dens. Yes, opium dens, Mother. I've joined the Hogan gang. I'm a hired assassin. I carry a Tommy gun in a violin case. I run a string of cat houses in the valley. They call me Killer. Killer Wingfield. I'm leading a double life. A simple, honest warehouse worker by day, and by night, a dynamic czar of the underworld, Mother. On occasion, they call me El Diablo. Oh, I could tell you many things to make you sleepless. My enemies plan to dynamite this place. They're gonna blow us all sky high some night, and I'll be glad, very happy, and so will you. You'll go up on a broomstick, over Blue Mountain with 17 gentlemen callers. You ugly, babbling old witch. End scene.
Brett, do you honestly feel that you came to me with your best work today?
I know more rehearsals always improve things. I did work on this last night. I ran it past a couple of my roommates, and they did give me some pointers. I am having a little bit of trouble with like the syntax, especially, and I know I don't necessarily have the dialect down.
Don't come to me talking about syntax and dialect. That's the last thing that is important here. You are flailing madly. What do you think Tom is expressing here?
Well, I gather that he, like many young people, are growing tired of the drudgery of the low-income lifestyle, especially at this time period, and he seeks a way out. And his mother being the overbearing, over-controlling terror that he perceives her to be. I'm hoping to focus on the blowout reaction, the overreaction, if you will, of finally striking back at her with all the things that she probably suggests that he does when he's instead been very good. He's probably been a very good son, and he's insulted at the idea that she would just be questioning him and everything. And
yes, which just serves to further indicate to me that you are performing the performance of a young man being mad at his mother. You're falling into the trap that so many do of regurgitating the idea of something. We've seen things in movies and television performed again and again and again, but it's not the same as living it. You're performing the idea of a performance. You need to reach inside of your world and bring it to me here. What surely you've fought with your parents before, but
not like this. We get along.
A relative of some kind, someone who maybe a former teacher, perhaps, someone who has jurisdiction over you, who's made you feel like your life is being lived in a meat grinder. And you want to torture them because they've tortured you.
I'm honestly not sure. I've I've been kind of lucky, I guess. I can't think of anyone
Where's your pain? Tell me where have you experienced pain and struggle and you?
Pain, struggle. When I was about 7, we had to put down the family cat. The cat was actually older than me, and it was a part of my life. And it got feline leukemia, and we had to go take it and have it put down. And that was really, that was a really hard day.
That you didn't hold the needle.
Well, no, I was 7 years old.
You ever stolen anything, Brett? You ever gotten in trouble?
Well, no, my parents and I, we've always had a pretty good relationship. I never had to, I never needed anything.
Look, there's obviously there are many methodologies of acting, right? So, my dear boy, you've led a charmed life, but that's not going to stop you, all right? You need to walk entirely in Tom's shoes. You need to read this play again and again and again. I'm not talking about rehearsals. I'm talking about living it. I'm talking about thinking of every drudgerous day of Tom's miserable life again and again and again, coming home to the pressure cooker of his world with his mother and all of her overbearingness and all of her insipid ways that she micromanages every aspect of he and his sister's life. Every aspect of that. Do you understand what I've said to you?
I think so. I just don't know how to make that happen.
If you have nothing to pull from yourself, you have to live that life internally. Use your imagination, and you need to sink deep into it until this outburst becomes your outburst, until you are so mad at Amanda, you are so mad at her. Even in your argument, you're trying to escape with all of these fantasies, not just for her, but for you. You want to hurt her with all of this while building yourself up, thinking about how powerful you are. To do these things, to go to these sordid places, to be, for this one fleeting moment, you don't know who El Diablo is, but you know that you want him to be a part of you. You want to be El Diablo, and you're using, for a moment, this fleeting fragment of a fictitious character in Tom's mind, all of those movies bombarding him, to create this one moment of both anger and escapism simultaneously. Don't just read me the damn words, Brett!
So my problem is that since I don't have real problems to pull from...
Listen to me, you pathetic worm. You, fumbling through your charmed life, I personally do not believe you will ever become a true actor. I don't believe that you will ever grace the stage of any place of note, nor will you be in front of a camera lens doing anything exceptional ever. Perhaps, maybe, you will look charmingly at a head of lettuce and turn to the camera and smile as someone says, "This head of lettuce costs $2.99. Can you believe it? You are nothing but a face. And that is all you will ever be. I want you to be furious with me, and I want you to think about how I mean every word I say. Do I? Don't I? You'll never tell, because you're not an actor yet!
Okay, thank you.
Next!
You're suddenly just taken away. It's like one moment you're walking out of the building following behind Gwen and Pseudo, and the next minute you like blink and you're just in this dark room.
You say it's a dark room. Is it pitch black, or is it just dim and I can see that I have 4 walls around me?
It's pitch black except for a single light that is kind of overhead.
So I don't even know if there's walls. I'm just like in a void? Okay.
Yes. And you're standing on a platform and you are surrounded by a glass cylinder that is kind of all around you. The diameter of this platform is probably about 8 feet or so. So you can stretch out and you can lift your arms and everything and not touch the sides. You're not restricted in any way or anything like that. But you are trapped in here, seemingly, for the moment.
Okay.
After a few moments, out of the shadows, steps who? That you may remember from the memory bank. And she appears as a older lady. So she looks at you and she says, "Hello, Revax.
Hello.
I am so sorry to suddenly just grab you like that and bring you here. Please accept my apologies. We'll have you right back to where you need to be, or I'm sure you have all kinds of work that you need to do, and I'm just so sorry for inconveniencing you this way. I'm sure it was jarring. You know, I'm still kind of getting used to the concept of the grid being on, and sometimes I just, kind of forget myself. So,
It's just doing your job.
Yeah.
I understand.
So I have a little bit of a problem, that we need to resolve.
Whatever I can do to help.
The issue is I can't quite tell who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You appear to be many different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm afraid that your programming has probably gotten all scrambled up. And so I think that we're going to have to do some things to get you set back right again.
Okay. What did you have in mind?
She kind of gestures back, and out of the shadows behind her, a woman who appears to be floating and wearing a long black dress that is sort of like ending in a bunch of like tails of like ribbons that appear to be just like very sharp razors that are kind of like flowing all around her. And she almost seems to be like made of these like razor sharp ribbons as well. And she says, "Shred, are you ready to proceed?" And Shred says, "Yes, of course. I'll help out in any way that I can." Very good. Revax, are you ready?
I don't know what we're doing yet. So no.
We're going to remove the inconsistencies in your programming so that you'll be functioning correctly again.
How am I functioning incorrectly?
Because, like I said, I can't tell who you are. That's my job, is to know who everyone is. And you appear to be many different things.
Well, it sounds, forgive me for being so bold, but it sounds like maybe you're not functioning correctly because you're having a hard time reading me.
No, sweetie, I promise you my functions are completely nominal, but thank you so much for caring.
I don't know. I think take a good look, and I'll put my arms out as if I'm presenting.
Are you feeling well, dear?
I actually feel fantastic. Could you take another quick look? Tell me what you see that seems inconsistent, and I'll see if we can piece together the problem of where this miscommunication is happening.
She looks and she starts to peer deeply into you, almost in an unsettling way. You are Rev X, but you are also Brett, and you are also Boo Radley, and Biff Loman.
Oh, okay, wow. That's odd. Those are programs that I have run in the past under different aliases and renames. My program has been renamed several times depending on when it was used in the past. That's just a history of previous file names that I've interfaced with.
She nods knowingly. I see. You're an emulator program.
Yeah, I have been. Yes, I've done emulation.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, so you see, that might be where a lot of the miscommunication starts.
Fantastic. All right. Well, then that means our job is easy. We just need to remove the inconsistencies and make sure that everything is squared away, and then you'll be right as rain.
Okay, so how do I make that easier for you?
You kind of blink. Suddenly you're standing on a residential street. You appear to be in the 1930s. And there are people walking around. There are children playing. And you're standing in front of a large tree. And you recognize that this is similar to the character Boo Radley that you played in To Kill a Mockingbird. And in the tree is a hollow. And you're holding some items in your hand, including 2 soap dolls that appear to be Gwen X and Rev X.
Oh, okay.
A small broken identity disc and some dice.
I'm gonna approach the tree. Do I get the sense that people can see me?
No one seems to be paying attention to you. There's no one that's around in the immediate area.
Okay. I'm gonna put the contents in my hands into the hollow of the tree.
You do that, and you kind of take a step back, and you turn, and all of a sudden you see Shred that is standing there. And she kind of looks at you strangely and says, "No, this isn't right." And she kind of just like envelops you in the folds of her dress, and they just kind of like rip away. And all of a sudden, your costume and everything that you were that was representing you as Boo Radley has been stripped away, and you are Brett that is standing there now. And you hear the cries of a child.
In the woods or in a house nearby?
In the woods that are not far away.
Okay, well, definitely gonna run, because if I'm like, this is, I'm just guessing what I think, but I'm not sure because this is a weird situation. So I'd try to check it out if possible.
You look down and you notice that all of a sudden you're holding a knife in your hand as well. And after running into the woods, you see a man that is attacking a small child.
Okay, I know how this scene ends. And so I pry him off the papier-mâchéd child and struggle with him. And I know I got a knife in my hand, but I'm going to do my best to pull this guy off of the kid.
So you're just going to pull him off, but you're not going to stab him with a knife?
I mean, that's not my first instinct, but we'll see what happens in the intervening struggle.
Well, you're in control here. You get to decide what you do in this situation.
Well, I'm definitely yelling. I mean, because on one hand, I know this is in the narrative, but at the other hand, like in game, I know that this is part of the narrative, but I don't know if the computer is reinterpreting my memory of something or not. But either way, I'm pulling this guy off, and if he tries to take a swing at me, I'll defend myself. But my first instinct is just to get them separated.
So you pull the man off of the child, and you see that the child is a younger version of you, and the man that you're pulling off is Eric.
Hey, man, you need to chill out. See if there's any, or if they even acknowledge me at all or whatever.
Yeah, Eric suddenly he lunges towards you.
Okay, I start lunging back, swinging the knife like Wendy in The Shining. Get away, get away, just trying to threaten that I got a knife, but
so you're just kind of swinging it at him, kind of fending him off.
Yeah, making it clear that I have a knife and that he needs to chill out.
He doesn't appear to be chilling out. He just appears to be coming at you like the character from the story would.
I was like, hey, man, I don't know what's going on, but I don't want to stick you, but I'll stick you if you don't stop. I'm telling you now that I'll stick you. I mean it.
This version of the character appears to be intent on enacting what you remember is supposed to happen in the play.
I mean, then I'm going to put my foot out in front of me and try to grab him and just kind of, oh, he's falling on my knife. Oh no. Kind of
try to stage it to look like an accident. Okay. Here.
Yeah. Or just that he's, if he's lunging at me, I'm just going to hold the knife out and be like, yo, bro, this is on you now. If this is.
Yeah. And, he takes that opportunity to do that because that's the way, sort of looking at this conceptually, this is how, the play goes. And so how the events are kind of being your memories are being altered by Who and Shred to place you into this scenario. But otherwise, things are kind of playing out the same. And this character seems intent on getting stabbed because of that reason. So if you would like to roll sleight of hand to try to make it look like, he's falling on the knife, as an accident.
14.
Well, yeah, we'll just say you hold the knife up and he kind of walks towards you and just takes your hand holding the knife and like stabs it into himself, like while kind of looking you straight in the eye. And blood kind of covers your hand, and Eric kind of like collapses to the ground. And you blink again, and then all of a sudden you're back in the, standing on the platform again.
Okay. Because Brett's thinking, clearly it's taking memories of scenes and things, so it's not exactly, obviously it's not real, but, inserting versions of me and people I know into it is definitely not great, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and in that kind of moment, you realize that your memory of what happens there has been altered now. Like, you don't remember being in a play where those were the events that happened. You remember being out in the woods and stabbing your friend Eric. Well, kind of stabbing with a knife.
That it feels real as opposed to...
And it's kind of messing with you because you have this memory that didn't really happen, but like you have a very distinct memory of it happening.
That's wonderful.
So you're standing back on the platform now.
Is who and are they both still there?
Yes.
Hey, we done?
Not quite. Hold on, dear.
Okay.
You blink again, and you're standing in a small kitchen. Your father, mother, and younger brother are all sitting around the table. And you recognize that now you are, as Biff Loman appears in Death of a Salesman.
Oh, boy. Okay.
This is a role that you played in community theater.
Mm-hmm.
And as I recall you telling me that this was Brett's sort of like first real big role that he got to play with other actors that were kind of like age appropriate. And
yeah, like it wasn't kids theater, wasn't college theater. This is like adults in an adult theater. Yeah.
So your father like kind of begins to berate you for your desire to head west and become a farmer.
Right.
And he says that you're squandering your potential and that he wants you to be more like he is. He wants you to become a salesman.
Does everyone look like my memory of the play, or they look like people I know that are not related?
They look like your memory of the play.
Okay. I'll respond with the appropriate lines, if I'm assuming I can remember, because it was probably fairly recent.
Sure.
But
yeah.
I'll launch back into it, but I clearly I'm kind of got my head on a swivel. Like I'm expecting Shred to show up and change things, but I'll continue on for the sake of those who might be watching to understand what this program is.
You speak your lines from the scene just like you did when you were in the play. And yes, just as you suspected, Shred shows up again and comments about how this is an incongruence with your character and your identity. She does her thing, and suddenly, you, Brett, are back there as yourself, and sitting around the table is your own father, your own mother, and your younger brother. And now your father is berating you for wanting to go west to become an actor. And instead, he wants you to come work with him at the Port of Wilmington and go into management there.
Oh, boy. Listen, Dad, you didn't have this problem, 6 months ago. And I try to adapt the dialogue to match,
What are you talking about 6 months ago? I always wanted you to follow in my footsteps. You're the one that had this dream about going and being an actor.
Yeah, but we talked about it, and you were pretty cool. You were pretty chill, and but I can see now things are different, and
Are you delusional? Brett?
Maybe. I'm not feeling well, Dad, and you worked hard. That's great. But I gotta go do my thing, and when I went to see you that one time, I saw something I wasn't supposed to see, and it fucked me up, Dad. And you need to let me do my thing, and because I let you do your thing, then I'm not going to stay in front of the family.
First of all, your mother's like, Brett, watch your tongue. watch your mouth.
Yeah, sure.
And what's he talking about? And your father like kind of like stands up and is like, I don't know. I don't know what he's talking. He's clearly delusional.
I'm talking about a lot of things. I'm talking about the rope in the basement. I'm talking about the university sneakers you got me. I'm talking about you had a meeting with that one client who shall not be named. Yeah, so don't judge me for following my dreams when you're living in a nightmare, Dad.
Kind of like sits back down and looks a little like he's kind of given up. And he's just like, fine. You go live your life the way that you want to. And then you kind of blink again and you're back on the platform again.
It's the American way. Okay. I'm assuming, again, similar kind of like I have that memory now, even though it's not like clearly it's not real.
Yeah.
No one's acting like my actual family, but it's like things wearing my family's skin, which makes it even creepier. It's like, fuck. Okay. All right. I'm going to have to call Mom and Dad when this is over and maybe get some therapy. like who the fuck will believe? And then, Who and Shred.
Yes.
So, are we making progress at least? Who? Tell me we're at least making progress on this. We're getting things straightened out.
Yes, we're making progress.
Okay. Oh.
Don't worry, it'll all be over soon.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
And then you blink, and then all of a sudden you're in a new place again. You look down, and you're dressed in long black robes. You have bony hands, and I think you probably realize who you are at this point.
Oh shit. At least I feel a little empowered.
You are the ghost of Christmas Yet to Come that you played in A Christmas Carol. You are standing outside of a bedroom inside of a large mansion.
I will, using my ghostly powers, force the door open and hover in, glide in on a cloud of smoke from a fog machine. and try and be as intimidating as shit, because I mean I know it's already kind of creepy, but at least I got the balls in my court in terms of this stuff.
Well, you see an old man sleeping in the bed, and he wakes up as soon as you enter, and he appears to be terrified.
Goddamn right. And so I'll stick to the script of not saying anything and grab my cloak in my hand and reach out my arm for him to grab a hold to see if he understands.
All of a sudden, Shred shows up again, and she just kind of like nods, does her thing, strips away your costume and everything that you kind of had before, and all of a sudden you're not standing in an old man's bedroom anymore, but rather you're standing in a small apartment, and you see Eric is sitting at his computer, typing away on it.
Do I recognize the space as like where we grew up?
This appears to be his apartment in Los Angeles.
Okay. I'll try to speak. Can I speak if I try to speak? If I just call him out, say, Eric.
He kind of like turns around and looks at you. Hey, Brett.
Does he look scared or surprised to see me?
Not really.
What are you working on, pal?
You look and you see on his screen that he has appears to have access to a server belonging to the FBI.
Maybe you shouldn't be doing that.
Why? This is like the ultimate power. Being able to get in anywhere, do whatever I want.
Yeah, maybe you just sort of think that, and you're gonna get caught. Like you wouldn't steal a car. Like you wouldn't break into someone's house.
I'm not talking about downloading some music or something like that.
Right. And you wouldn't do that. So why are you doing this?
Because this is the answer to all my problems. Now, you sort of intrinsically know that you can like show him a vision if you want to. A vision of like what the future might be if he continues down this path.
Oh yeah, Christmas future. Makes sense. Yeah. I was like, well, hey, man, before you decide to just do that, would it be cool if I just sort of showed you like what might happen if you did that, and then you can make your choice, and then you can do whatever you want?
Do whatever you're going to do.
Okay, well, here, grab my hand real quick.
Kind of takes your hand.
Yeah, and then I'll force jump him, bamf him, Nightcrawler, whatever we do into a future where, I mean, if it's the dark future of what he's going through, it's got to be him in some federal lockdown for being, cyber criminal.
You show him a vision of himself being led away in handcuffs, convicted by a judge and being sentenced to life in prison. You can also go on to show him visions of Gwen and yourself being convicted as well for aiding and abetting him. And then you jump forward, Bamf, and you show him another vision of Gwen's family mourning her death after she was killed after being sent to a male prison. And her family is dead naming and misgendering her at her own funeral. And then finally you show him one last vision of Eric's own gravestone after he hung himself.
And I go, well, does that still make you feel powerful, man? Like, does that still do it for you?
You've kind of brought Eric to tears at this point, and he swears that he will make amends, that he won't, pursue this path. He just begs for another chance to be able to change his path in life.
All right, well, what are you going to do? What's your plan, man? You say you're going to change. It's not enough to say you're going to change. You got to do it. You can't just say you're going to do it. You got to do it, all right? And I know I'm kind of talking to a computer, but at the same time, I'm definitely angry at the real Brett, so, I guess that shit spills out.
He's like, first thing I got to do is I got to find a giant goose. No, you...
just one more job. One more heist, man.
Yeah. You blink and you are, back on the platform again. So now you go through countless more experiences like this, reliving scenes from plays that you have been a part of, and then eventually own experiences from your life that start to get sort of rearranged in ways where you were having to, portray something that wasn't totally who you really were, where you were having to mask or act in a role for something else. And after having a countless number of these experiences, your brain is probably pretty scrambled. You probably have trouble remembering what was something that actually happened to you and what was a memory that was reconstructed. You also have a new function on your disk now that is called Emulate. It allows you to perfectly mimic another program or being that you have had a direct interaction with. However, you can only change this at a procedural shift station, and if you have to take an action that is contrary to what the person that you're mimicking would actually do, then you have to roll willpower for it. And if you fail your willpower, you will take a certain number of points of sort of like willpower damage. I'm going to use your body point total to keep track of this. You won't know how many of those points you've lost, but when that number reaches 0, then you will automatically do what is in the nature of the program that you're mimicking.
So it is almost like a possession, like fighting against its own will, like puppeteering.
Correct. Like you're enacting the role so well that it's hard for you to resist doing what they would actually do in that situation.
Okay, that's a funny way to put it. Makes sense.
Eventually, after a time, you appear back on the platform, and Who and Shred are no longer there. You're just kind of alone.
I'll call out, assuming there's no answer. Just who? Like who? Shred? I'll kind of just try to center myself by looking over my hands and legs and just patting myself down like, okay, still here, still kind of, still breathing and confused and trying to get my shit straight with remembering the reality of my life and just, okay, I've acted, I've done roles. There'll be time to think about whether the extremely weird thing actually happened or is this weird. The weird version actually happened. We'll see which one is which.
All of a sudden, the barrier that is around you just kind of dissolves and fades away.
I'll start slowly stepping out, like cautiously, just like totally allowing the opportunity for anyone to stop me if that's the case, but I'll step out like 1 foot at a time.
After a few moments, a door opens and another light that is just like almost kind of blinding, just like kind of shines in on you. But you can tell that there are clearly 3 figures that are standing there.
I grab Pseudo and pull him around to the nearest alleyway, and then throw down a light cycle and jump on it and say, "Get on, Pseudo!"
He acknowledges your request and gets on behind you.
And we book it.
You set off, racing down the alleyway, and you notice that it seems like the forces of the MCP are converging onto the central spot that is Creed's apartment. It's almost like they must have tracked you there somehow.
Shit, hope he's gonna be okay. Fuck. Okay, well, we talked about heading to Devils, and I don't know where Brett is, and so that's the best bet. I'm gonna head to Devils.
You're riding along on your light cycle, and you're kind of riding down an alleyway. And then at the end of the alleyway, you see a tank that kind of turns into it and starts coming from the other direction.
I'm going to use my friction coefficient inversion to drive on the side of the wall, if I can.
Yeah, you use that function, and you kind of just like turn, and you start like going up the side of the wall. And the tank continues to roll down the alleyway. You ride up the side of the wall until you eventually like get up on top of the building. And you're like looking around, you're seeing recognizers that are kind of like flying overhead. You see a few light copters that are flying around as well. And they seem to all be heading towards Creed's apartment building. But you realize if you stay up here for too long that you're probably going to be spotted.
I'm going to reach out with my user powers and attempt to create a ramp for me to launch off of to bridge the next gap across the buildings and keep heading away.
Go ahead and roll tech for me.
22.
You kind of feel the user powers flowing from within you. And you focus on the end of the building, and you are able to make a ramp just kind of like lift up out of it. And you set off riding on your light cycle to go and try to make that jump. Go ahead and roll piloting for me.
I rolled a positive wild die. 16.
You manage to go and like you ramp off of the ramp, and you fly through the air, and you may have no problem landing on the next building over. But as you do that, one of the recognizers that's flying overhead spots you and takes a shot at you, and then the shot misses, but they clearly have seen where you are now.
Okay, I disengage the light cycle, and using my friction coefficient inversion, I again, I'm gonna flip Jeffrey up in my arms, wrap your arms around my head, and my neck, and because I know he takes things too literally sometimes, and then I'm going to run down the side of the building.
All right, so you put the light cycle away. He climbs up on your back, and you just you're running down the side of the building with him riding on your shoulders. And you make it down the other side, and you hear what sounds like probably some light runners and other light cycles that are starting to close in on you as well.
I see anything in my immediate vicinity, any public spaces that I can duck into, or procedural shift stations, or anything else to that end?
You're standing on a street. You do see a procedural shift station that is not too far away, and There appears to be a couple blocks away, there's like kind of a public square, I guess, where a bunch of programs gather. It's a similar type of space to like where Winamp was playing before.
Okay, I'm gonna run to the public area, and I'm gonna be doing everything I can to be like to dip into shadows where I can, and attempting to stay out of like visual for anything coming from above.
So you're kind of walking along with all these other programs, or amongst all these programs, and I guess you took Pseudo off of your shoulders, and he's just kind of like walking along with you.
Yeah, I put him down, and I'm holding his hand.
Go ahead and roll Streetwise for me.
24.
You're going through this public space. You're seeing all these programs that are around, and a small group of them catches your eye. They're all kind of standing around in a circle, and they have a ball of light that they are kicking around in this group. It reminds you a lot of hacky sack circles that you see sometimes people in the park doing.
Cool. And what's the situation with the recognizers and the helicopters and stuff?
They are continuing to kind of fly overhead and just kind of like are looking for you all, but you're doing a pretty good job of blending in at this point, so they have not been able to spot you yet.
I'm keeping my head low, keeping Pseudo close, and staying away from anything that's as flashy as the hacky sackers. That seems like it's a draw. So if there's clusters of people, I'm gonna be like walking like near them. Like sometimes I'll be like shadowing people, so it'll seem like I'm part of their group. When I see a sufficiently like dark alley or something, I will duck into it.
You duck into the alley just as you notice guards coming into the crowd, and they're starting to check individual programs, and they're telling everybody there to sort of line up, prepare for inspection, so on and so forth. And you manage to dodge away into the alley right before all that starts happening. So you seem to have a moment of reprieve here where they don't know where you are.
Cool. Have I ever noticed anything like sewer-like in terms of the city layout of the grid, or does it not have any sort of like subterranean sort of stuff?
Yeah, the city has conduits to facilitate communications and transport of the energy liquid that you have seen before.
Okay. Hopefully I don't regret this. Are there any conduits nearby that I can see?
Yeah, you see like a cap for a conduit that is not too far away.
Jeffrey, help me with this, please.
He walks over and helps you to lift it off. And you look down, and it's very dark down there.
If only I had a hacky sack. Is there any trash in this alley?
Sure. There's some various pieces of digital detritus.
Okay. Actually, I have a baton. I'll take my baton and I'll turn it on and kind of use it like a torch.
So you going down there?
Yeah, we're going down. And making sure to cover our tracks.
You're down in this conduit, walking below the streets of the city. It's very dark down here. You only have the faint light of your baton to guide the way. Jeffrey starts to get very uncomfortable.
It's okay, Jeffrey. What? Is there something you want to tell me? Hey, I catch his eyes like, Jeffrey, look at me. You use your words, okay? Can you tell me what you're thinking about?
He doesn't say anything, but he like runs over to a wall. And he picks up like a stone or a rock or something, and he kind of like scrapes an image of like a stick man like enclosed in a box.
Okay, we're getting somewhere. That's you. That's Jeffrey. Jeffrey's been in the box, yeah? He's nodding his head, okay. Oh, you're claustrophobic. Oh, Jeffrey, I'm so sorry. Look, I hold his hand. We're gonna get out of here, but we're not trapped. We're moving. We're moving forward, and we're gonna get out of here, okay, bud? And we won't stay down here too long. We just have to get away from the bad guys.
Roll persuasion.
21.
He listens to what you're saying. He seems to be captured by your eyes. He takes some deep breaths.
It's gonna be all right, Jeffrey.
And seems to calm down a bit.
Just keep hold of my hand, and we're gonna get out of here. I don't want to stay down here too long because I know that I don't really know where I'm going, but I want to get enough distance that I think maybe I can, have thrown them off the scent. And the next time I see another conduit, I'm gonna see if I have a sense of like where we are, or like if it's a safe place to come out of. It's not too obvious.
You come along to the next conduit, and you kind of press your ear against it, and you can still hear the sounds of a lot of traffic and the guards that are ordering programs around and so on and so forth. And so you walk to the next one, and it's a little bit more faint. And you do this a couple of times until you eventually can't hear them anymore. And you feel like it's probably safe for you to emerge.
I'm gonna very carefully let go of Jeffrey's hand. I'm just gonna check. I'll be right back. And I push the conduit up and look out, see where we are.
You don't see any guards or recognizers or any other vehicles around. It seems like there's not really anybody around. It seems pretty quiet. So you feel like it's safe for you to come out here.
Okay, come on, Jeffrey.
He follows you up and out of the conduit.
Okay. What kind of an environment are we in right now?
You're still in the city. Go ahead and roll navigation.
16?
You know where you are. You're not too far away from the Coliseum, and you feel like you can probably make the rest of the way there without running into any guards or going back to the area of Creed's apartment.
We're going to take our time. We're going to go slowly. We're going to try to keep out of sight and just play it cool. No light cycles, no nothing.
It takes you maybe half an hour of walking, but eventually you make it to the Coliseum.
I'm going to approach whatever, spaces I remember that are official and look very formal. Hopefully I'm not covered in scum, but to make my way to Devil.
You follow the path that Devil's programs took you in when you went to go see him, and you walk inside, and Devil is not in there, but there is one of the other programs that was with him before, and he immediately recognizes you and says, "Hey, Gwen X.
Hi.
Who's that with you?"
This is my friend Jeffrey, and we really need to see Devil.
Devil's down in the garage working on his recognizer. You want to just come with me?
Thanks.
He leads you down into the garage area, and you see Devil and a few other programs that are kind of up on ladders or on platforms, and they are they got some wires pulled out, some plates pulled off of the side of the recognizer, and they appear to be working on it with some kind of this. A couple of them have wrenches. One of them has a strange machine that looks similar to a welding device. And as you approach, Devil turns and looks at you, and it says, "Gwen X, hello. Welcome back. Come back for another round?"
I wish I was in a sporting mood, Devil. Flo's been derezzed, and Brett's disappeared.
Flo's been derezzed? How?
I take off her identity disk. Crypto.
can't stand that guy.
Yeah. I want to send him to the recycle bin. And empty it. Over and over again.
I'm really sorry to hear that. Flo seemed like a nice program.
The best.
Who's this?
This is, Pseudo.
This is Pseudo?
Well, he's both pseudo, and he's also a user.
Really?
But he's not all there. The MCP tried to do something to him a long time ago, and it kind of fried his brain.
That sounds on brand for the MCP. What can I do to help?
The MCP wants to steal Brett and I's user abilities, and I'm really, really worried that maybe that's what happened to Brett, because one minute he was behind me and the next he was gone.
You have no idea where he went?
I don't. The one thing I know is that Crypto is doing everything he can to find us, and he hasn't stopped. So I think maybe I need to take the fight to him, and I was wondering if maybe you could help me with that.
I've got certain access to Terminus. Exposing myself that way, though, would be pretty dangerous for me.
Well, I was thinking maybe you could turn me in.
It's an interesting idea. And you don't know at all what happened to your friend.
I don't. I'm fearing the worst. I've never seen anything like that. Have you? 1 minute you're there, 1 minute you're not?
He's like slides down, on a ladder. Looks like he's got like a thoughts crossing his face. He walks over to a terminal, and he starts to type, "Pseudo, can you come over here and help me out with this?" Pseudo just kind of like nods and walks over. "Pseudo, do a search for program, Brett. See if you can locate him." Pseudo does as he's asked. And he pulls up a window that shows program RevX current location as the compiler.
What's the compiler?
Compiler is the place where programs are brought into being or created.
Oh no. Is there like a program log? Has there been any status change to him?
Let's see here. Pseudo, can you pull up a program log for program RevX? He acknowledges again. And you see what comes up is like a change log that is extremely long. It would take you a while to kind of go through this whole thing. And it appears to be just like a lot of gobbledygook to you. There's occasionally some names that you recognize, like the names of like Brett's family members, the people you're all common friends growing up. But then you also see names that are familiar to you, but are like characters from movies and plays and things like that.
Can I skip to the end?
Yes. So you go to the very end of the log, and you just see like the last line. It says process completed.
Well, I scroll up a little bit more. I want to make sure that the MCP hasn't merged with him or something.
You don't see anything like that in this log file.
Okay. Where is this? Is it nearby?
The compiler? Yeah, it's over on the north side of Amicus, but I could take you there.
Yeah. If you wouldn't mind, Devil, I think that would be good. I need to make sure. If he's in trouble, maybe I can save him. And then maybe we can revisit this scheme to take down Crypto.
All right. Well, climb aboard. He gestures back to his recognizer, and you walk over with him, and you stand on a platform which raises up into the recognizer, and Devil goes and stands at the controls, and he begins to pilot it. and takes you out of the garage, and suddenly you're flying over Amicus. And you don't have to travel very far, but you land again, and there is a nondescript gray building that looks like it's like shiny on the outside, like it's made of like gray glass almost. Very smooth surfaces, only one door going into it, no windows or anything like that you can see. And he says, "That's the compiler."
Okay, Devil, I don't want to put you under any unnecessary scrutiny.
Look, we'll come up with some kind of excuse or something if anybody comes across us.
What reason does a program have for being here other than being born?
I couldn't say.
Well then, lead the way.
You ride down the recognizer, you get back onto street level again, and you walk over to the door, and Devil kind of like looks back at you and nods, and then you open the door and you walk inside, and you see Brett standing on a platform in the center of the room that is completely pitch black, except for a single overhead light over him, and he is just kind of like shielding his eyes from the light that has come in from the door that you've just opened. Thanks for listening to City of Demons. Head to patreon.com/Omniverse Media to support this and other surprise RPG experiences. Also, join the Omniverse Discord server at omniverse.media/Discord.